Petroglyphs, 1 mile. We're walking up the old shaman's trail to the petroglyphs, or pictographs. Petroglyphs are rock carvings, pictographs are rock paintings. Both are rock art. And this is the panel that we are approaching. To them, this was a holy place, a place where spirits met humans. And these figures, these chains, the sun, all represented something significant to them. The older ones, as you can see, the diamond chains, some say they represent the diamondback snake, which was believed to have special powers. And then this image of someone of significance who was wrapped in a blanket. You can see the headdress, the feathers, and the blanket, the eyes and the nose and the mouth, the feet as he's wrapped up. Someone significant. Now, if you look closely, you're going to see around the red is a yellow ink paint as well. Throughout all this is yellow paint as well. And in the right light, you can see that. What do you think they represent? Do they represent significance for the artist? Who was this guy? That someone would take the time to paint his portrait on this rock. There's a mortero, a shallow mortero, right there. The pestle is long gone. Much of what is here today, what is left, the weather has eroded it, the wind, the water, snow. People coming and touching it because it is organic, so if you touch it, the oil on your hands starts to break down the organic material and it disappears. But you can see that there was something here at one time and it's gone. Something there, something here. Soon all this will be gone. Now these are the farthest away from the painted rock, the farthest morteros and slicks. This is an area where the women would hang out. You can see them up there on the rocks. As they sat on the rocks, grinding the mill for their families. So what can we say? This is a sacred and holy place to these people. So much so that the women stayed down there to make the mills, and that's where they set their camp or where they lived. But here, this is where they came to meet their spirits. This is where they wrote in their language what they experienced. To them, it's a significant place, a spiritual place. And it's interesting to view what the people who lived in this land before us came to experience and how they expressed themselves. As I said before, this will all be gone someday. So I would encourage you to visit it now before it disappears. So Henderson's Canyon is starting to bloom, as you can see, all the way around. It's starting to turn very green and the flowers are coming. Walking this way, headed towards Indian Hill. Now Indian Hill, hopefully the wind's not too bad. Indian Hill is one of the places where it's recorded that Native Americans, or American Indians, however you choose to call them, have lived here or occupied this area for 5,000 years. One of the oldest human-occupied areas in the state park of Anza-Borrego. Now, what is interesting about this is this cave. Really, it's more of an overhang than a cave. And it contains American graffiti. We're getting closer to the land before time. A peoples who truly learned and knew how to live off the land, using the limited resources that the desert has in order to survive and raise their families, their children. As we make our way through this area of numerous cholla, you can see there's no shortage of cholla, as some people say. Well, we're resourceful people. They would use something like this plant here, not only for medicinal purposes, but it has a natural needle on it. So they could use it, and it even came with its own thread. So if you killed it, you could kill it up there, you cut the thread, however long you wanted. Now the thread was like this, and they would just slowly pull apart what they didn't need, so that they would have the size thread they want. And it's very stringy. So you can actually see the strings of the fibers in here, and they would pull out the strings that they wanted, and then they would have their needle and thread, so that they could sew their clothes together or anything else they want to sew together. That's the way it is. Okay, what you're seeing is us approaching this Indian village that was occupied for almost 5,000 years. This is awesome. I mean, you're actually going to go into their home, visit it without being offensive to them, without invading their privacy. Yes, they occupied this area for 5,000 years, but they're no longer here. They're living in cities just like you and I live, or maybe reservations someplace. But I can't wait. Let's get over there. This is where they took shelter. And you say, wow, it's kind of claustrophobic. And I'd imagine that a couple things has happened here since they occupied this area. One, this was probably dug out or the sand hadn't filled in so deep. You can see the soot from the fires all the way through. And it's possible that the rock has actually settled down as well. Over in here, as we walk through the paths that they walk through, you can see slicks where they grind their corn and the morteros, or not corn necessarily, but the seeds and the things they make for paste. And this would be their places where they would stay. They'd make fires. You can see even more morteros as they stayed out of the rain during the process. All right, you're walking through the village of an ancient people who occupied this place for over 5,000 years. You can see how they would settle on this rock and grind. And look out over the view. More morteros there. It's a shelter from the wind. And then continuing on. Okay, this is known as the Shaman's Cave. And it has incredible pictographs. Now, it was recorded that possibly a man named McCarthy came in and touched these up in the 40s or 50s. But it's interesting. As we see these pictographs, look at this sunburst with the multiple colors, this blue and the orange, all made of natural parts. And then over there. And in there. And what we have here is a handprint that cannot be duplicated. Peoples of the Kumeyaay. We don't know what happened to them for sure, but some people say that they were annihilated. And other people say that when the water left, they simply moved away. But some of what you see is what they would think be spirit beings. Some of them believed that when their ancestors died, they were turned into a coyote or an animal of some sort. And yet, now this area is what some people call their living room. And as you go up through here, you can see the different places they could sit to be out of the wind and even the sun, because the sun is devastating up here. In the living room, so you can see there's petroglyphs here. Now I want you to know they're probably scattered throughout here, but the rocks move with earthquakes and settling as the ground gives way. There's a natural movement to the rocks, and so without a doubt there are pictographs, rock art, that have been hidden and may never be revealed again. So what can you say? We've came into their world. Everything that they owned was either traded for or they made with their own hands. The food they would harvest either by hunting or gathering seeds or whatever plants they would eat. We visited their kitchens, both in the shelter and out in the open. They lived here. They raised their families here for 5,000 years, the oldest occupied site in the state of AMERICA. And they left us this beautiful tapestry, or a panel as they would call it, rock art. How cool is this? We just don't see this every day. This is true American graffiti. Thank you for coming. We still got a ways to get out, so let's start walking. Well, thank you for coming on this adventure with me. These times of exploration are special. And we ask that if you like the content, hit the like button and let us know that you appreciated the trip. If you want to go on future trips with us, hit the subscribe button so that you will know when our next adventure is. And thank you again for coming, and God bless you.